I
have been waiting. Will you join me?
Hello, welcome back to Star Wars. My name is Phill. Of course, I'm joined by, as usual, by Matt and Robin for our weekly Mandalorian breakdown. Good evening, gentlemen.
I am a very sleepy boy. This new fresh time of 9 p.m. on a Saturday does not. I like my eyes are half closed, man. It probably summarized the way I feel about this episode. But yeah, I'm fine. I'm tired. I've probably walked about 15 to 20 miles of various configurations of family today. So I'm good. How are you? How are your tires?
They are not good. I have a double puncture on the passenger side.
Everybody still gets an Audi and it all goes wrong.
Your new car, since you got that, blimey.
For an Audi as well, man. Do you use the indicators?
Yes, I do.
Or that might be the issue then. The power it takes to use the indicators is pulling it away from everything else in your car, man.
But we're here to talk about Mandalorian, not Phil's car.
After seeing the Razor Crest the other week, I think the two are synonymous with each other.
Hey, the Razor Crest is better than any Audi.
I mean,
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, debatable, but that's me going Star Wars versus motorsport there. But
I'm confused. I don't know where I am.
Star Wars Mandalorian, Chapter 15, The Believer.
Yes,
the penultimate episode of season 2.
It doesn't feel like a penultimate episode.
No, it doesn't.
Hi, Dave. What's up, Dave?
Hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Sorry,
hey, he's my wife.
I'm not gonna. Look, I'm so tired. You just have it. Yes, fine. He's your wife. This is good.
He is well. Good. So chapter 15, penultimate episode, Call of the Believer. This one's directed by Rick Fuyama.
What's he done? I don't know the name. What's he done?
He was the one who directed episode 6 last season, which introduced Bill Burr's character.
I thought about it. He did Empire Strikes Back. Why did it go so wrong? I like episode.
He's
6,
not Irving Kirshner.
There's one episode 6. What? My God. Okay, so he did episode 6 last season. What's he done outside of Star Wars? Phil's on IMDb currently.
Yes, I can't remember because he has a bunch of stuff.
I can see the reflection in the glasses. I'm like, I know he's got
I know they talked about what else he'd done in the gallery, but I cannot remember. I literally only know him from doing 2 episodes of The Mandalorian and starring in an episode. Well, I say starring in an episode. He's part of Director Squadron.
Do you know what the problem is with this week? And obviously we're gonna. No, it's not. It happened afterwards. Don't worry, ignore that. But say all the great new stuff that was announced, and then you have to watch this episode of The Mandalorian. You're just like, this is going to be so much better. But that's a future episode to talk about.
Yeah, we are definitely going to be talking about everything that.
I won't talk about it now. But in my head, I was like, I read those announcements, and then watched the episode, and that's why I felt really meh about it. But that's wrong. So ignore that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, it's Thursday's announcements were ridiculous.
Rogue Squadron.
Yes, Rogue Squadron.
Patty Jenkins, man.
Yes. Yeah.
When they announced that, I immediately wanted to just put my N64 game in and just play it.
I mean, we'll get on to that. But obviously, that's a conversation
for the Mandalorian that we haven't started talking about yet.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is an episode where there are some really cool moments, but overall, the episode does fall a bit flat.
Yeah, it did not feel like a penultimate episode. I actually was watching it, and partway through, I was like, "This is the penultimate episode, and nothing's happened yet."
I mean, I have to admit, the episode started on a bad note for me. I was so excited for an awesome prison break sequence, and the moment Cara Dune walked in and just basically went, "He's coming with me," and everyone's like, "That's fine."
When the prison bot said, "Report to Marshal Dune for your assignment." And he was like, "What?" He's like, "Yep, you're coming with me." Although it was cool, that scrapyard where you saw, again, the fact that pretty much everyone has just repurposed a load of 8080s to just be cranes on legs. And you just saw all of these broken down TIE fighters.
I think...
At this point, it'd probably be better if it did.
I was so excited for a prison break. A really good, like, the prison episode last season.
Yeah.
I was so excited for a classic Star Wars prison break, and the way it happened felt so short of my expectations that I
it was Cara just walking up saying, "Yep, you're coming with me."
Especially considering we were talking about how this season was mirroring last season. We expected the same.
To be fair, though, that was only like the first half, which again was only shown in the trailers. So they're probably like showing stuff and doing stuff. That was like, this is kind of what's happened before. And then like the second half is like, now we're doing things differently.
Yeah, I didn't. That was just a letdown. It fell so short of what I wanted. Excuse me. It felt so short of what I was expecting it to be that watching it, that instantly, for me, I was just so out of step, on the back foot for the rest of that episode.
Well, to be fair, one of the prisoners you see there was one of the people you saw on Kara's computer last episode. It was the furry dude.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I was looking, I was like, is there anyone? And you see the furry dude who was in, I think it was one of his species was in Maz's castle in episode 7. You see him.
Interesting.
I think I'm saying it's the same one because you saw him on the monitor. But.
Well, we spoke about the Ahsoka episode, as we know now, being a backdoor pilot. Do we feel like that Marshall June segment, clearly having jurisdiction over a prison planet, do we feel like that could be a backdoor pilot to Marshals of the New Republic or the Rangers of the New Republic?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think.
I reckon that Captain Carson, who we've seen twice this season, I reckon he is going to be like
he'll be in it.
A big character in it.
Yeah.
Oh, we best get Trapper Wolf. I don't know how Filoni will feel about acting properly in a series, considering he didn't want to do it in the first place. But we need more Trapper Wolf.
I'm telling you now, man. Like Mandalorian season 2 is starting to feel an awful lot like Tinder, as in big dating, which is swipe left if you like this character, or swipe right if you like this character. And I feel like they've introduced so many names in this season that they've gone on to announce all of these shows that they could be linked to, that it's almost like Mando season 2 has become a dating site. How is this character rated with audiences? Good.
I mean, I can kind of see that, especially considering Fennec Shand is going to be in Bad Batch.
Oh, is she?
You see her in the trailer.
Oh, no idea she's like 60 years old, by the way. Wow. She looks amazing.
Different species age differently.
Yeah.
No, but the actress who plays her is 60.
Yeah, I think she's 58 because it was her birthday like last week, I think.
She looks fantastic. Like, I picked her at like late 30s, early 40s. When I read that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean,
get me in a Disney film and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You guys are my old man. He's 62. So just as a comparison, they're like, just
crazy, like, insane. So I feel like Mando season 2, we're introducing these characters to test them with audiences, and this is why I think this season feels like this. It's peaks and valleys, because Grand Admiral Thrawn, well, what's happened with that? Nothing's happened with that except an Ahsoka series, wasn't it?
Yeah, that very much was. This is a backdoor pilot for the Ahsoka series. We just didn't know what else to do, and Filoni likes Ahsoka, so we had to get her Mando.
But my issue is,
Matt's issue is, we'll find out after the break.
We'll be back after these messages.
Well, I'm still here. You guys have come back.
We lost you, but you're in a funny position as per usual when we lose you.
Good. This segment with Marshall June, as I was saying, it felt like a backdoor pilot, and it doesn't feel subtle as someone watching it. It's like, oh, you're just okay, and I don't like it. Quite frankly,
I mean, to be fair, I didn't really see that, but I can see, like, especially after the announcement of the Rangers of the New Republic, which is set during the timeline of Mando, it now does feel that this stuff with Kara, which we did think was like going to lead somewhere, is probably to tie into that series as well. But if they hadn't announced that, we probably wouldn't have felt that way with this episode.
I agree. Now you can see she's wearing the Marshal's badge on her belt.
Yes.
Man, this has gone so quickly. She shouldn't have it worn there
and just been a proper sheriff. But
it's just gone really quickly from I'm not a joiner, Blue, to I'm Marshal June, the New Republic. I'm taking this guy with me. And I'm like, whoa, where's like your inner conflict and struggle that builds from you going, I'm not a joiner, to being like, I have jurisdiction. And that, again, it just feels so rushed. Like, Bring it in season 3. Let her have a conversation with that X-Wing Ranger and just be like, you know what? I need to bring lore to the galaxy, and I've been thinking about this for a while.
I mean, do you see her thinking about it?
Let it be episode 1 of the Rangers. Just let it be episode 1.
Because of Rangers, I think with Rangers of the New Republic and the Ahsoka series, I think it's going to be like the first few episodes are going to be set before the episodes of Mandalorian, and then they're going to have episodes set after it with just like them just referencing bits in Mando.
I don't know. It's just it's plot threads that are being placed that don't serve a purpose to further really any plot in Mandalorian.
Mm.
She got given that badge 2 episodes ago for a really convenient loophole for a prison break. And it's a plot thread that doesn't further what we're watching. Grand Admiral Thrawn and Ahsoka doesn't further what we're watching now. Ahsoka did admittedly, get him to the Seeing Stone and led to like the best episode of this season. But do you know what I mean? It's like it's feeling very plot thready now, which I'm kind of finding it quite difficult in myself to keep attention and keep up with all these names and these little things that seem to be happening. So
this season does very much feel like you need to have a degree in Star Wars to know what's going on. Whereas season 1, you could just watch it and just like this is a cool show with all these characters. But season 2, and again it happens in this episode when they name drop Operation Cinder.
That's a big one. If you don't,
which I really enjoyed the name drop. But if you don't know about it, you're just like, what is this? Like, because Matt, do you know anything about Operation Cinder?
No.
Well, you played Battlefront 2, though. You played the story mode, haven't you?
Oh, is that? See again? Like, is that Battlefront 2? I don't know.
Yes.
Well, it's not just Battlefront 2 because it's in Shattered Empire.
Yep.
I think they mention it in Aftermath.
They do, yeah.
Battlefront 2.
Cool.
It's been in a few things. It's basically just the Emperor after he's dead, basically saying, "I'm dead, burn the galaxy."
Yeah.
And that's the name drop in here. But again, like I just said, it is. See, obviously, like me and Phil, we read and watch and listen to pretty much everything, so we get all this. But like for people like you and other people that have no idea, it's like, well, what is this? So I do feel it is starting to be like basically just Filoni has just gone into fanboy mode too much.
The really frustrating thing for me as what I like to enjoy, what I like to read, the kind of plot lines. We were talking about this as we went into the show. Robert and I, because Phil had some technical difficulties. We were talking about it, and Game of Thrones season 1 is the only season I've been on board with because it was political and it was deep and everyone developed at their own pace. And the moment dragons came into it, it was like too fantastical, which is super weird for me. Phil knows, like years of being like, fantasy is the best. And the moment dragons came in, I was like, lost interest. Daredevil. I feel like Daredevil, Netflix's Daredevil, is incredible. What a medium to tell comic book stories in, because you can build slowly. And I like character development. I like furthering characters. Everything that's happened in Mandalorian season 2, and I've said this for a few episodes now, they've done huge character progression in this episode, massive character progression, but it's so sudden it feels forced. And obviously we'll get on it later in the episode, but like there's things that have happened which should have taken a few episodes to build, and they've had the time and the scope to actually do that, and they have. That Ahsoka episode, obviously the whole thing that happened in the canteen, which we'll get to, could have started a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
And instead they've gone, we've got 2 episodes left of the season. Are you kind of done with the Ahsoka stuff? Yeah, good, because we need to get this in here for this to make sense. And I'm feeling Mandalorian starting to feel quite rushed in places for me. And this season, even with Boba Fett, feels like fan service. It doesn't feel like the story anymore. It just feels like, you want it, we got it. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, like I said, it's like Filoni's, like the fan in him has just been cranked to 11.
Yeah. You want Fett, you can have Fett. You want Fennec back, you can have Fennec back.
I think
to be fair, I think the Fennec thing was, and I think actually now the Boba thing might have been planned from the start.
I think to me,
because obviously they would not have had that shot in season 1 of Fennec's body, and now we know Boba Fett going to take it if they didn't have a plan. Also, I reckon that's how they got Ming-Na Wen to join. It's like, yeah, we're gonna kill you off in this episode, but we're gonna come back in season 2 and do stuff with you.
Yeah,
what are you saying, Phil?
So I think to me, what it feels like is the story group, which has done a fantastic job with looking after the lore ever since they did the reset in 2015 and going, right, here's all the new canon, here's your films, your books, and everything else. They've done a fantastic job getting everything sorted. What it feels like, the story group has gone, look, we have this show here, this show here, this show here. We need to have these links. It's gone to Favreau and Filoni and go, look, we know you guys are doing your story, but we need these links placed. Can you place them in your show? By the way, can you do them this season?
I don't like it. And I've said this before.
The links are great, but the way they've been placed is wrong.
I've definitely said this before, in that I don't like, and it's just feeding off what you just said, Phil. I don't like how much of a mixed media project Star Wars has become. You've just said it with Operation Cinder. To understand Operation Cinder, you need to have played this game, read this book, listened to this. Like, stop. Just let me have a TV series. People like Baby Yoda's popular. Everyone loves Baby Yoda. Let's link everything in. And the problem is, so much of this episode was forgettable. I can remember when they get up to the ship and Bilbo or Mayfield sees Boba Fett and he's like, I thought you were the other guy.
And then Mando walks out. I was like, oh, awesome. You're here to kill me.
Boba Fett's repainted armor. Class. It's so good.
The cleanest he's ever looked.
Because we're going into a new era for the character. And she said, Robin, more action figures. That's a new hot toy right there, kids. Coming to you.
You better start saving up for it, Matt.
Yeah, I will. But this is a new era for that character.
Matt directly in the centre with Boba Fett.
He's no good.
There you go, Matt. You're now Boba Fett.
Yep.
Your dream has come true.
Put Robin Wardle in the cargo hold.
I don't have to go in the.
I like the whole thing about Fett for so long has been the dented helmet, and I like they've repainted it. I'm like, dude, you're looking good. But at the same time, it feels like they're forcing a new era. They're trying to make it obvious. Okay, there's a Boba Fett TV series coming along, everybody, and he's going to look like this.
Which surprisingly didn't get announced.
Yeah, you know what's happening. But no, the British Racing Green's lovely. It's not as blue as his old armor was. Which is
hey, Phil, he now just needs to have a 9 on his helmet.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that.
It is British Racing Green. Now, Boba Fett.
And yet he didn't repaint Slave One.
How much paint do you think you need to do?
How much time do you think he had as well? Like, come on.
It's been like
time to paint his armor.
Yeah, that's why he ran out of time to paint Slave One.
I tell you what, though, actually, speaking of Slave One, the one thing I really liked in this episode was the interior shot where you actually
see it spin. Yeah,
rotate around. Like
it's also the first real time. It's definitely in live action that we've actually seen the interior of Slave One, not just the
actual cockpit. Yeah,
that's what I said. Not just the cockpit. Yeah.
Don't you see it spin in Attack of the Clones when Little Boba's in it and Jango's fighting Obi-Wan?
No, because you literally only see in the cockpit.
Yeah,
but I thought you saw him spin with the chair. I thought you saw the spin.
No,
I think it wobbles when he gets into it, but he is because I think he does have to move it to be able to see.
And he's looking at the little screen and then just kind of firing.
I thought you saw it spin. Anyway, I can't remember what happens next. I'll be completely honest. It's so dull that I was like, oh, that's cool. There's Boba Fett. And Mando turns up and he's just like, hi, Mayfeld. But who's meant to be angry at who? Because I don't. Is Mando angry at him because he got double crossed, or is Mayfeld meant to be angry at Mando? And I'm really confused about that dynamic.
No one's mad at anyone. It's just Mayfeld thinks Mando's going to kill Mando because of basically he horror movied him.
But season. Mando should be annoyed that he was double crossed.
To be fair, he kind of got his payback already when he captured him and put him in prison, and then blew up the guy who actually double crossed him.
I don't know. Their conversation felt far too relaxed for two bounty hunter type characters who have beef with each other. It was like, well, we cool? Yeah, we're cool, but we need you for this plot line.
But again, I think it kind of goes into what Mayfeld says in this episode about we all have things we won't do until we need to do them.
Mayfeld was used as a plot device to further Mando, and I hated it. I liked Mayfeld, I really did. And this episode, you're like, oh, suddenly you have emotions, and how convenient. You've just said this, and this is now going to explain why this happened. Man, lazy. There's such lazy writing in this episode. I at least wanted those two to have a gunfight, and for Boba to be like, boo, 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 boo.
See, I think it's because this episode wasn't actually written by Favreau or Filoni. It was written by Rick Fumiyama, the director.
Yeah.
Man, I just
has done an awful lot before this. He's done Dope, he's done Confirmation and The Chi, and a couple of little bits and pieces, but nothing really.
I've not seen or heard any of them.
No. I said I've only heard of him from Mando.
He's also doing Son of Shaolin, though.
What? Is it what?
He's doing Son of Shaolin.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like Shang-Chi for Marvel. I was about to go, whoa, hang on. But no, he's not being picked up for that.
So it may be a case of Rick's writing that's let this episode down. No, don't get me wrong, though. What happens next, I do love. Because I like Mad Max, and I kind of enjoy the chase.
The best example I can think of and I think with this season is where I work, not saying it. There's certain companies I have to ring up on a daily basis. And they have if you want this department, press 1, press 2. I don't know what it's called. And the girl starts on this recording being like, if you're after this, press 1. And someone's clearly gone. You're running out of time. She's going, if you want this, press 2, and speeds up really suddenly. And I feel like they spent so many episodes just fluffing about and going, oh, here's Ahsoka and here's Bo-Katan. They've gone, oh no, we have a plot we have to advance. And they're going to cram too much into these 2 episodes. And I really feel like the next episode is just going to disappoint me.
Unless season 2 is going to end on a massive cliffhanger.
Which it will, because otherwise I just already anticipate feeling disappointed by the next episode. Because you've spent so long taking side quests that you forgot about the main plot. Or maybe the plot is so stunted that how do we stretch this out over 6 seasons? Potentially. Anyway, what happens next?
Next is Mad Max Fury Road.
Well, because they capture
nothing
the
happened in
Juggernaut.
between. They capture the Juggernaut.
Yeah, they capture the Juggernaut, where they jump on top of it, and then we get more of Kara just punching the crap out of dudes.
Which was cool. That's the elbow thing, wasn't it? Like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then she just smashes their heads on the dashboard.
Great physical actress.
Well, that's what you get when you hire an MMA fighter.
It's fantastic. I'm really happy they do that.
Yeah. More of Kara just beating up people, please. Which, if she's in the other series, we'll probably see. And then they have the whole thing of like, although we did talk over the whole how we're going to get in because he isn't going in alone. And it's like, well, Kara can't go in because she's New Republic. Fennec can't go in because she's wanted by the ISB. And then one of my favorite parts is when he said, let's just say they'll recognize my face.
He never takes his helmet off. That's it. That wound me up.
So yeah, let's just say they'll recognize my face because obviously the whole Old Republic army was his face.
Yeah.
But at the same, I forgot that, and I was like, "You don't take your helmet off for like 3 films. How are they going to know who you are? In fact, you were employed by Vader. Like, why are they going to have a problem with you? What have you done?
Yeah, but again,
what have you done?
Because the universe probably thinks Boba Fett's still dead, so they'll think, wait, this dead guy's back, and also he looks like a clone.
You say that. I would have liked it if Cobb Vanth was flying around pretending to be Boba. So everyone was like, oh no, he's still alive.
No, that's a totally different character in the old canon whose name I can't remember.
Oh, but if he was pretending like that, and I just people are like, but Boba, he can't hit anything. Anyway, so yeah, they have and they go, and Mando gets changed into some rad-looking.
Then he goes into
tank armor, which
I didn't actually realize is the Rogue One trooper. It looks a bit like the jet troopers from Rise of Skywalker. It wasn't until I saw. I know it's the same, different color. It wasn't until I saw the shore troopers later. I was like, yes, the tank drivers from Rogue One, not the jet troopers.
Well, listen, this to me felt Rogue One beats Mad Max Fury Road.
No, you're giving it too much praise. Unless you're on about this one segment. Are you on about like this one segment?
To be fair, the whole chase bit kind of reminded me of Serenity. You've got the Reavers trying to attack him. Again, yes. Mando trying to be like Firefly, which I'm okay with.
Robin's right. That was so familiar to me, and that's what it is, the Reavers.
Huh.
And I was trying. Were they? I thought they were on like Jabba's skiffs as well from Jedi. They weren't. But
No, they are.
kind
They
of
are new aliens, but
no. But you know the
actual little skiffs themselves, yeah, they are.
they are kind of. They're not the same, but they are a bit similar. Yeah.
that Boba goes down on. I was like, oh, that's really cool. They've repurposed it, but they didn't.
No, it's slightly different.
Mm.
Yeah, because then you
So-
obviously have the talk between Mayfield and Mando in the pit thing, where he's just like, "I need to take this off. I can't see because stormtroopers can't see in helmets, apparently." And
Even
then
though
that's where he talks about
very
like,
much you actually have a slit to see, and you can see their eyes quite clearly behind, including Pedro Pascal's face. You can quite clearly see it, which is an oversight.
At least like get Mayfeld a double cross Mando in this episode. They were expecting it as well. They're like, oh, we can't trust them.
Mm.
And I was like, I just let them do something. Like it was very do you know what? When they were driving, I remember this bit when they were driving through and seeing the other blown up juggernauts.
Yeah.
And it was very, very Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah.
Where Robin Williams sees the effect of the Vietnam War and is just like horrified. But it reminded me a lot of that when you're seeing like the after effect. But yeah, it takes a lot from different films, this episode, which might be why it feels really janky.
I agree. I mean, when I say it's Rogue One meets Mad Max Fury Road. What I mean by that is the aesthetic is extremely Rogue One. The explosions going off left, right, and center in a kind of a jungle aesthetic with
also the fact they have
turbo
troopers
tank
and the tank troopers
exactly.
and
So
the Juggernaut.
that exactly. Although to be fair, the Juggernaut wasn't used on Scarif, but that's not the point. It feels
No,
very
but it was still in Rogue One.
Yeah, exactly. It feels extremely Rogue One. The Fury Road part is literally the chase where you have people jumping on board with
Cool.
Death Eaters
Okay.
and going,
Yeah.
"Witness me." That is how I said it feels like this. I'm not
Haven't
comparing
seen
those two
Mad Max,
because
so I
Rogue
don't
One
know.
is probably the best Star Wars film of all time, and Mad Max Fury Road is,
The best.
although people, if you're a Mad Max fan, it's not always the top of your list. I really enjoyed it, but it's
I saw it in the cinema. It was visually incredible.
Yeah,
But
visually it's stunning. But
You know
I
what's-
was comparing the actual kind of that setup.
Yeah.
Was, here's your chase, here's your get from point A to point B, with a Rogue One aesthetic to make it feel.
if
Star
I'm
Wars.
honest, the thing that was super jarring for me about that scene was it's very, very strange seeing things on wheels for me. And for some reason, seeing things on tires in Star Trek. What? I've been talking to Dom. But seeing things on
Don't mention
wheels
that here.
in Star Wars feels so weird to me. And it doesn't
I
feel
think
like
the Juggernaut is like the only thing with wheels in Star
The
Wars.
turbo tank, the turbo tank is the only thing with wheels we really see in Star Wars.
I don't like it.
Apart from droids.
Yeah,
I'm
but
okay
droids
with-
are like a different thing, man. But
Yeah,
seeing
I'm okay
them
with
like
it because
vehicles,
it's introduced via the clones, but it's a
but being
I mean,
like, here's this
I'm a big
car.
I mean, to be fair, so this is the thing. So, of course, Dave here say Bill Burr was excellent in this episode. Dave was his top 5 of the whole show. I mean,
To be fair, Bill Burr's acting in this was great.
Bill Burr was fantastic.
Like jumping ahead a bit, that scene where he's in the canteen talking to his old officer, and
Yeah,
you just see the look on his face, like, I want to kill this man.
It's his acting
But
is
still,
great.
tires are weird, right? It's not just me. Like tires don't feel right.
I mean, yeah, because it is weird. Because obviously we're used to just seeing things hover or walk on legs in the case of some Empire vehicles, but to have an actual tank,
More AT-ATs that have been turned into records.
yeah, like I said, I don't think I might have mentioned it before, but yeah, I liked that. I'm just like, basically, the universe is just taking all this old Imperial stuff and repurposing it, and it's not just the New Republic, because we saw that on Trask a couple episodes ago. Which I love. I just love the fact that they're repurposing AT-ATs to be cranes. It's great. But it is kind of weird seeing wheels, yeah. Because I'm fairly sure, at least in canon, the turbo tanks are the only thing we've seen with wheels.
Yeah.
I think. I'm generally looking to see if I've
Are
got any
those
Lego
the
sets
big
around
clone
here.
ones? Are those the big clone ones that you see drive along?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we first see it on Kashyyyk, and then we see it at the start of Rogue One on Wobani, because it's what Jin gets broken out of.
Surely, if you're worried about things like deep mud and thickets, a hover vehicle would be the fix, not big tires, right?
Yeah, but I think they only use turbo tanks or juggernauts on planets that don't have things like that.
How else are you going to rip off Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, man? Like when he throws him onto the wheels, I was like, that's the second Indiana Jones reference.
I was about to say,
we
yeah, we
had
had it into. Oh God, we're going to get a Crystal Skull next episode.
But this was, for me, that fight, Phil, you're right. It is very Mad Max Fury Road, but there was elements of the Nazis going at Indy in Last Crusade, and when he throws them on the wheels, I was like, "Oh!"
Like I said, Serenity as well.
Yeah.
I did like seeing Mando fighting without his Beskar, because there was a moment where he was shooting them and the power pack ran out on his blaster, and you could tell that Mando's thinking Imperial crap.
There was the moment he got shot in the arm and the flak armor came off, and he was just like, "Pow! Wait a minute!"
Like,
and
then bloody Imperial crap.
Judo. He was using a lot of judo in that fight as well.
Also, I think this might subtly be setting up the fight with Gideon with the spear. So he was fighting with a spear a lot in this, and I reckon that was subtly trying to set up the fact that he can like fight with a melee weapon because he's going to fight Gideon with the Beskar spear.
I mean, I agree.
I mean, yeah,
it's
but not when he goes too weird, like a weeping mountain. But
time travel. Yeah, I use judo.
That's what I think of time travelers. People's idea of time travel. No, Seismic Charge, blow that crap up. It belongs nowhere near Star Wars. We'll come to that.
Jumping your head a bit.
Probably it was nice to see different fighting styles from Mando. It was interesting but call back to something I've said on almost every episode. This man is clearly well traveled. How doesn't he know what the Jedi is? He's learned lots of different fighting styles from someone who would probably know what Jedi are. It's really bugging me now.
There's only so many times I can bloody try and give an explanation to that.
Yeah. This keeps me awake at night. And the more I'm going, they fleshed him out to be such a well-traveled man. It's like, come on!
The Jedi are basically a myth.
They are, at this point. They are basically a myth.
Even during the Clone Wars, not a lot of people believed in the Jedi.
I'm not buying it. Propaganda machine.
Okay. All right, to put it in perspective.
You're a propaganda machine.
To put it in perspective, to relate it to 40k, the Primarchs were real. They were there. People knew they existed.
Yeah, man. Everyone knows who the Primarchs are. Like, even Imperial Guardsmen are just... Because Gilliman's back.
Yes.
Gilliman comes back and everyone's like, Luke!
Right, yeah. And Luke comes back. It's Return of the Jedi. That's the whole point. The Jedi...
yes. Which is set before this.
Or was it Vader that was the Return of the Jedi?
Oh, good. That was good. Yeah. That was awesome.
It's actually something I was thinking about the other day. I was like, actually, hang on. It's Vader that's the Jedi that returns, not Luke.
You see, I keep him around for a reason.
I know.
I have useful things to input.
I know there's a million counter arguments to it, and we get into it every time I bring it up. For me, personally, I feel like there's a massive plot hole, especially as Boba Fett could have been like, oh yeah, there was this guy with a lightsaber, and he started swinging it around, and like Robot Chicken, and then he came at me with the saber, and I was like, no way. But
I get that reference now.
Yes,
they're all so good. I don't know that again. Whatever.
I'm running out of counter arguments to that, and it is annoying me that I'm running out of counter arguments because it feels like something that should be addressed and hopefully will be addressed.
It probably we had to wait until season 2 to find out the whole Mandalorian helmet thing. It will probably be season 3 when we find out more about why he doesn't know about Jedi.
I do think that by the end of it, season 2 so far, correct me if I'm wrong, season 2 has featured the best and the worst of.
Phil, isn't the Bloodlines book about the galaxy finding out that Leia's Vader's daughter?
Yes.
And surely by turn, if they know that Leia's Vader's daughter, they'll know that Leia's got a brother called Luke.
Bloodline is set after Mando.
But people know, it's common knowledge.
Yes. Yeah, they do know Luke, yeah.
They know a Jedi. Anyway,
long after
this will go on for like 45 minutes, but
that's an episode in itself.
But thank you, Phil. You're running out of counter arguments because you're seeing where I'm coming from. You're just like, oh, actually, they do know who he is. He's a hero.
I'm running out of counter arguments because the plot holes are getting bigger for that.
I just keep saying, wait until we find out because we probably will.
Yeah. Now this is the thing. So correct me if I'm wrong, but season 2 so far has included the best and the worst of Mandalorian. The peaks and troughs have been so separated. This episode, I have some really cool things about it that I like, but on a whole, it's probably for me, the weakest of the whole series.
I think it's because we have been saying like throughout this season that the so-called filler episodes didn't feel like filler.
Whereas
this is the first one to me that actually felt like filler.
Yeah.
Which is annoying when it's the penultimate episode, like Matt said.
There's a saying, which is life is made up of a series of peaks and valleys. After every peak is a valley, after every valley is a peak. So obviously ups and downs. But don't let the peaks get too high or the valleys too low. Now, maybe this is in danger of those high points have been so good that they diminish what comes after it.
Yeah, I mean, earlier, Rafal was saying...
Yeah, I probably do, but season 1 was so good, it's hard to not be excited for the penultimate and now be like, oh, well, this. And then I don't want expectations down. I think was very much a case of Filoni and Favreau have set these expectations. They've given us an idea of what to expect from what they can do. People's expectations was Ahsoka, and they delivered it. And people's expectations were Boba Fett, and they delivered it. So, yeah, man.
Okay, so
exactly.
The story's been told in long form. There's things, characters, and we've shown them for a reason. Some reasons we don't know what and why. There are, but the problem is the points where they've tried to ram them in so that we have these plots later have come at a very kind of short, concise space of time where the actual plot needs to be advanced. Now, the Ahsoka episode did serve a purpose. I actually think the last week's episode should have been this week's episode. I think that
yes,
should have been this week's episode.
Yes, entirely correct. Because last week, again, it's the peaks and valleys. Last week was so good. This following it feels the other way around. You're right. You're absolutely right. So anyway, they get to the bridge, and all the Empire have their Yavin moment.
To be fair, I did like it when like all of the things were coming at them, where they were just turning on their thermal detonators. And it was at this moment, I was sat there thinking, now would be a good time to swoop in and save the day, Fett. It wasn't Fett that swooped in and saved the day, it was the TIE fighters.
Yeah.
And then you have Mayfeld just turn and say, I bet you never thought you'd be happy to see Stormtroopers.
So that's the other point that I was saying, Mad Max Fury Road is the whole witness me because they're just going mental. The other point I forgot to mention, I'm going to bring it back just a second. The one thing that really threw me in the episode was the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon jumping from the skiff onto the turbo tank, where it was just this. It does not look realistic in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that did look a bit odd.
But they're a new alien species. Maybe that's what they can do, right? Because they're alien.
Exactly. They're aliens. Who knows what they can do?
Without explanation, there's only
they can change their face. Who knows?
Yeah.
Which I think actually kind of maybe summarizes all these points up quite nicely. Basically, without an explanation, you can only assume.
Correct.
Now, Robin, you said something after this episode, which I really liked, because the next part where they see the TIE fighters and they're all cheering and saluting. This is the Empire's Yavin success on a smaller scale. Robin, you said it was nice to see things from the Empire's point of view. More of that, please.
I don't like the Empire. I am obviously against the Empire, but I do want to see things from their point of view.
Do you know what? That's the first time for me that stormtroopers have ever felt like normal people.
Yes.
Yeah, because in the novel Lost Stars, this is why what Lost Stars is one of my... ignore the whole, it's basically Romeo and Juliet in space. But because it deals with an Imperial who... Because there's a split. So there was an Imperial who then defected, but his girlfriend stayed in the Empire because she believed in the Empire. And you see the Empire from the Empire's perspective, like, we're the good guys here, the rebels are bad. Even though we all know the Empire, the rebels aren't exactly the best, I'll admit, but the Empire is
the rebels are left-wing terrorist organization, man. Like, don't get it twisted.
Yeah, but to see things from the Empire's perspective, I am very interested in. That's why, like, Lost Stars is good, and I liked it in this that we saw, like, even though they're evil, the Empire has a point of view, and it's been said many times in acting and stuff that the best villains are ones who think they're doing good. So to see things from the Empire's perspective, like, we're doing good, we've just achieved this victory, is very interesting. So yeah, when you just see all the stormtroopers like saluting the tank
and cheering,
because they think, I was thinking, the Imperials think these guys are heroes to them because they have done something that none of the other tanks did, which is protect the shipment.
Make it there.
yeah, they made it there. They like fought off the pirates that were attacking them that none of the others did. These dudes are heroes. Obviously, they don't know that they're not actually Imperials, but
it was nice to see stormtroopers feel human. Like it was really nice. Like,
like when you just see them in the cantina just eating.
Solo, I thought they could have done it in Solo with the Mud Troopers and Mimban.
They missed a lot in Solo.
But he turns out to get Woody Harrelson and his band of misfits. So they're the humans. And the Empire are like, freedom to the beast, and it's Chewie. But I liked humanizing the Empire. I liked for the first time that I was like, wow, stormtroopers feel like people. The stormtroopers are feeling joy.
Yeah,
awesome.
Gary's just trying to do his job.
Yes.
Even on Take Your Daughter to Work Day, he still has a job to do.
It's 100 degrees in this.
Finally see Dan.
Do you know what? I genuinely want them to make Gary canon because it will be great.
I'm just repeating what I thought the nice man said.
Donald Faison is canon because he's hype.
Yeah, no, I know Donald Faison is, but Disney Plus doesn't want me to. We've been through this. I tried, it just wouldn't let me watch it. So that's another reason for me not to watch it. But no, just to make Gary the Stormtrooper canon, because again, it will humanize the Stormtroopers a little bit.
And again, what of the moments I liked, and it's less. There's more little glimpses I liked in this episode more than big things. And the human stormtrooper. And what annoyed me was it was all completely undone by the officer.
Yes,
he was. Words I can't use on this podcast.
No. I tell you what. I will counter that with one very, from my point, a very interesting point is the fact that when you have your bog standard troopers, your bog standard men who are fighting because they need a paycheck, they think it's the right thing to do, whatever their reason is, that's your human reason. The officers are there because they've drunk the Kool-Aid. They believe the hype. They believe the reason.
Also, let's face it, most managers are arseholes.
No.
But when you go back in history, it's why when people look at the Nazis, for example, how could you serve under them? So a lot of them, they were just doing their jobs. That's their reason for it. Some of it's, I had no choice. I had to do it for my family. Others, it was because I believed in it and I got it wrong.
The guy they had playing it, Phil, the dude he was in Game of Thrones.
He was the Night King.
It felt like, was it not? I just knew it was a Game of Thrones.
He was the Night King in a couple episodes.
Night King was cool. I felt like he was. People are going to hate that I said this. I'm like not making friends in this episode, but I feel like this guy, they almost turned up pantomime levels of bad guy. Like the way he composed himself and sneered and talked, I was like, "Wow!"
They did pick an actor who has just basic evil face.
But do you know what I mean? Like, if it was someone, if he'd been like, "Yeah, I was at Operation Cinder. We had to do what we had to do, and I made the right choice." It doesn't mean it's an easy one. If they'd shown he had like compassion to follow in with stormtroopers are people too.
But to be
that's
fair,
the first bit of merch, boys. Stormtroopers as people too.
Make it happen.
And instead of going, and now we have Captain Hook from the 2017 Peter Pan pantomime. If he'd been like Woody Harrelson in Solo, was a really good bad guy.
If he hadn't turned the evil up a notch, would you really believe that Mayfeld would have killed him?
No, you would have felt that Mayfeld was an arsehole for shooting him, probably.
Because if you've got this guy going, it wasn't an easy thing to do, but it was the right thing to do, and not a day goes by that I don't not regret my decision. Mayfeld still could have been like, we lost people, and had his emotional moment and shot him. But I would have liked to have seen more humanizing carry through, because it's a struggle to believe in any structure that the people under you are just normal people, but your boss makes you evil. And I would have liked to have seen him take that role, but maybe to someone related to like on Gideon's ship. Because
to be fair, I think
they could have been evil
before in various things that some Imperial officers are like that.
Yeah,
like they know what they're doing is wrong, but it's for a good cause. Kind of like the rebels, like, yeah, we know we know like blowing up this thing isn't good, but it's for the greater good.
Yeah,
but there are a lot of Imperial officers that are just like they were before they joined the Empire. They were sadistic people, and they could just get away with doing that when they joined the Empire. And I forgot his name, but this dude was very much in that. I can do evil stuff. Yeah, I can do evil stuff and get away with it. This is the best job ever.
I am the axis of evil.
Yep. All right.
He's like, I'm evil. I get to do this for a job. Yay.
We have, however, glossed over probably one of the most important points of the episode, which I feel gets lost because of the rest of the episode around it. I watched this just before we went live. I was finishing watching it as you two were coming on because I want to refresh my memory for it.
Of course.
So Mando taking his helmet off. Now he took his helmet off to get into the suit of Stormtrooper armor, but no one
was around. Yeah.
No, and you had the very interesting conversation between him and Mayfeld going, is it the fact that you can't show your face, or is it the fact that you can't take your helmet off? Because those are two different things. Yeah. Which is then in the conversation of we do things when you get to that line of what we're willing to cross when things get messy. You then have Mando walk in, Din Djarin, and take off that Stormtrooper helmet because his face is getting scanned.
But there is that moment where he keeps the helmet on. It's like, Mayfeld's probably lying. I'm going to do this. And then when it doesn't, and he's just like, nope. And he just takes it off. Because this is where you see Din Djarin will do anything for Grogu.
That's what the point I was about to make.
Yeah.
This is where you see what the lengths he will go to, which is mirrored in his speech to Gideon later, which we will get to. But
I would do anything for love. I will do that.
Which he then did. He would take his helmet off, and he did. No, it's one of those points of this is probably one of the most critical points in the entire series so far, and it feels lost in an episode that is forgettable.
This is why. Sorry, go on, Robin.
After he took his helmet off, until everyone is dead, and Mayfeld goes, "I didn't see your face," and he puts his helmet back on, he looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't know what to do.
He did look like the advanced action figure, actually, where he's like,
because he's just like, I'm a tank trooper. I'm a sir, yeah. But then like, you almost see him be relieved when he puts that helmet back on. He's like, oh, thank God. Which I did like. The Pedro Pascal's acting in that. He was just like, what? This is not right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Kind of what I alluded to at the start of the episode, where I said that it feels like there's these massive character development moments that should have almost been established, because it taken off that, like, he just suddenly seems with this and the speech at the end that he's just suddenly cares way more for Grogu when he spent 2 episodes trying to give him away. And
to be fair though, he was reluctant to do that.
Yeah,
he thought it was what was best for Grogu, but then it was only when he got taken away from him that he realized, no, he's my kid. I am going to do whatever it takes to get my kid back.
I read a very good article earlier on where they called this episode "The Crack in the Mandalorian's Armor," in that it kind of. I thought it was going to be an article going, this episode feels really tired. They're going to keep repeating the same formula until this, but it wasn't. It was an article on how this could be representative of Din Djarin turning his back on the whole "this is the way, never remove your helmet" thing. And I get that. I understood that the moment I saw it. I was like, oh, he's starting to turn his back on this whole Mandalorian thing after meeting Bo-Katan and Boba Fett and everything. But I personally would have maybe liked a conversation between him and Bo to set that up a couple of episodes ago. And there was that conversation of, you were raised by zealots, and he was like, no, and flew away. And this is what I mean by there's this massive character development that it feels like Mayfeld was put in to set up this development that I feel like could have maybe happened a bit more organically instead of very suddenly going, no, Grogu. Because it was the penultimate episode in the last season, his helmet was taken off for IG, wasn't it?
Yes.
No, it was the finale.
Was that the finale? I can't remember.
Yeah, because it was after the big fight that happened at the beginning of the finale.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was after Gideon had turned up.
That happened, and like maybe because we know the armor is still alive. Was she? Maybe,
Or is she?
there,
I have a theory about the armorer.
but could there have been a segment that he went back and when he was on Navarro with Cara June, she was like, "Someone wants to see you," and she's just like, "Whatever." But this is what I said at the start of the episode. When I said that there's these huge leaps of character development that have been brought in the second to last episode of the season, and it could have been established at some point. And I would have liked, personally, for me and what I enjoy, I would have liked a subplot of Din Djarin really struggling to come to terms. And it's
kind of see him start to do that when he's talking with Bo.
Yeah, you do. It's been alluded to, but I would have liked maybe some moments of like contemplation and just being like, maybe this.
How do you know he's not contemplating all the time? You can't see his face.
It's like I just said.
Yeah.
You know, it's assumption.
Yeah.
But this is what I said, that it feels rushed. It felt very, and I know he had to do it to get a job done and everything, but at the same time, it was very, and now I haven't got a helmet. And I liked the character development. I liked the way they've taken his character, but to happen very suddenly at such a late point,
it's not what they've done, it's how they've done it.
Yeah. And I like that. And I like
the
speech. I was happy with the speech at the end. I was happy with him taking his helmet off. I just felt like they could have built it up to be.
I agree. And this is the thing. Like, as I said, this episode feels very forgettable, which is a problem when there are some really good story points in it. But the actual story itself does feel forgettable. It feels like a filler episode. The problem is that it's too little too late for what the story points are.
He could have had a conversation with Ahsoka and her being like, you not removing that helmet is like a super rare thing amongst the Mandalorians.
Yeah, you know you're weird, right?
But that feels like it could have almost been within Ahsoka's range as a character. It's been like, that's a bit weird because I've met all these Mandalorians and they all take their helmets off. And that could have been a really cool little conversation between
the only ones that didn't were background characters.
Yeah. But what a cool conversation, what a cool moment that could have been.
I agree.
I think also like a few of the episodes have been quite short, and if they'd just been a little bit longer.
Yeah. Although the actual average runtime is up on this season compared to last season.
Really?
Yeah. Not by much, but it is up.
I swear the season 1 episode felt longer. Anyway.
No, there's a couple episodes of season 1 that are like 22 minutes.
Oh wow, really? Sure.
Yeah.
But then Mayfeld shoots pantomime villain. Sorry, I do like that really
bit after he shot him, that he just looks over and you just see the shore trooper with his food, just like, the hell? But before that, Mayfeld's just like, I just shot this dude. And then you had that moment before when Mayfeld was just really kind of passively aggressive laying into him. And Din just looks over to him and just shakes his head, just like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
I was
and
really
hoping he was
just going to walk out the room as if to go, I've not seen anything, and just
it
walk up.
Very, very similar to Force Awakens with the
two stormtroopers going, so what are you going to get for lunch, Dave? Oh, I'm just going to get, maybe not, we'll just let Kylo do it.
That's why I expected it. And I thought he was going to be like, I just walk off. And that's what I was expecting.
And then there's a shootout in the cantina.
Yeah. Which was cool, I guess.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I just like what I love from that part is just Cara and Fennec just going.
Okay. If Cara is in Rangers of the New Republic, please can her sidekick be Fennec Shand? Because I love those two together.
She's in Boba's crew, but Boba's picked her already for his playground football team. Is that what season 2 feels like? Is the people going, "You're coming to my series"?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of memes of just like Oprah Winfrey, just like, you get a spin-off and you get a spin-off. Everyone gets a spin-off.
That's almost what it feels like. It's very much going, Ahsoka picks Thrawn for her series, so Boba picks Fennec, so someone else picks Cara.
And Cara's just there going, who do I get? I wanted Fennec. I did love those two together, where they're just scoping them out and saying, yeah, you deal with the troopers, I'll deal with the cannon. It's like, what's taking them so long?
I reckon Cara will get grief.
Oh, she gets grief anyway.
That fight scene didn't feel like there was any real struggle. Because
I mean, that is what happens when you've got like 4 sharpshooters with blasters.
I know, but there was no kind of real danger there because every base was covered. Great plan by the characters.
I felt more fear for the characters in episode 2 with the Krykna than I did with this.
Yeah, and there was, again, from a storytelling perspective, the characters weren't in any real danger. And you hope Han turns the corner into a battalion of stormtroopers, screams and runs the other way.
That's one of my favorite episode 4, not gonna lie.
And there's always
my plan is to run at them.
I loved it so much. Yeah, my God, yeah, my plan is to run it.
They made a cardboard, it's fine.
I love all I like danger. There's something to be said. So I like the Andor series.
Yep.
People are turning around and going, but we know he survives. So any dangerous situation he's in, we know he's going to get out.
That is a problem with the prequels, yes.
Yeah, and then when they've Marvel Comics have done it plenty of times where they did the death of Wolverine back in the early spoilers. Wolverine dies at some point. When they did the death,
I haven't read it yet.
But people were writing into the magazine in the letters going like, but now you've shown us his death. We know that everything that happens before it isn't going to kill him. So any implied danger to the character.
Okay, but that is a bit of a silly thing to say because he's Wolverine.
He dies, man.
No, I know he does. I've read the comic, but people getting worried like everything before one was like, he's Wolverine.
No, but this breakout. The breakout that I was hoping for that came about later in the episode was that I didn't feel like Din and Mayfeld were in any trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
I was like, we're going to get on this windowsill. We're going to climb this ladder. Slave 1's in circuit. Those two were shooting.
Keep climbing. Everybody. What do you think I'm doing?
Yeah,
and
they have to get out because they have to go get Grogu. So they're going to live. It's the.
See, if this had been like the final episode, I might have been worried. But it's the whole thing. Like, we know Tellion's like it's the penultimate episode. We know they're not going to die.
Mayfeld could have gotten killed. Mayfeld
was the only one that probably could have died.
He could have gotten killed, which would have gone. Oh no, they're in danger. They've just killed one of the two. After he's gone, I'm a hero. Shoot you.
Yeah, it's that thing of like, oh, I've had character progression. Now I die.
He could have died in Mando's arms on Slave 1. Or whatever.
with Mando just going, Mayfeld, no.
I just died in your arms tonight.
That's when I started to like you.
But do you know what I mean? Like, someone could have been injured or shot or died during the escape.
Like sometimes in this stuff, like someone like gets shot in the shoulder or in the leg or something. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, we've got two sharpshooters up there. Mayfeld's a bloody sharpshooter. Mando's good with a blaster.
I mean, it's unfortunate left it open for Mayfeld to return. That's what it almost feels like they've left it too open. It's a case of you'll come back.
Now, man, they'll announce he's getting a series in like 2 years' time. I mean, like Mayfeld. But like Country Life, but with Mayfeld in it.
No, it's actually a prequel series, and it starts with the Operation Cinder thing.
Yeah. But this is what, again, because there was no even implied danger towards them. I didn't feel like they were in a precarious position at all, and that felt really dull to watch them escape. Like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, you know that Captain America is not going to die, but when he goes up against Bucky, you generally started to be like, he could really mess him up. And there was no I didn't feel like there was any kind of moment where I felt like they may not make it out of this one. What's Boba going to do? Fly Slave 1 through the front door, which would be great. Just saying. So yeah, I don't know. The escape segment of it, again, it felt too safe. It felt very safe, and like the Imperials were so quick to respond to what happened when they took out that facility with Grit on Navarro. Where was the backup when they were just Slave 1 was parked on the ground and they were like, "Go have a happy life." Where was that no distress beacon? This was a big fortification.
I mean, yeah, they also had a massive explosion.
Yeah.
Which, surely, right? There's going to be Imperials everywhere on this planet, not just in one remote location.
They do say that this is a secret mining outpost.
There's also no credit to walk out and go, "Are you blind? Deploy the garrison." No one did that.
Oh, he's dead by this point, but that would have been great.
His ghost just pops up.
Are you blind? I'm a ghost.
Either that or he just turns up as a green alien.
That's what I mean. You get these massive bounds of very important character development delivered in a very short space of time. and everything around it feels safe. And yeah, I guess I
did like the whole character progression of Mayfeld.
So this is the point for me of the entire episode. To sum it up, there are really good story beats in an episode that's entirely forgettable and too rushed.
Yeah. And Mayfeld's, but we said this in the pre-show, Robin. It was just like Mayfeld's fine, but why build him up so much to let him ride off into the sunset? That effort, they put so much effort.
I think it might be because like they're trying to show like Mando's like getting all these friends that like if needs be he can like come back and get, like with Cobb Vanth and now Mayfeld and probably Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
like he's just like setting.
That should have been the okay, you've died here, now you're coming with us. That's what it should have been.
Yes. Yeah, continue.
Actually, now you mention it, to leave him on the planet he supposedly died on is a bit weird.
Continue building your Dirty Dozen, Mando.
Yeah, that's what it should have been. Not you're dead, but like good luck. It's you're dead. Now you're coming with us. Now you can help. Now you're a free man per se. Go and give us a hand. We need you. We could use.
To be fair, a bit of it might be that they still don't quite trust him.
I wouldn't like.
I don't know
because what he did.
It probably isn't. But... I mean, to be fair, considering that Kara was the one to let him go, considering she hates Imperials, and she was the one who said, "Well, it's a shame he died." I did like how his reaction. I was like, "Oh crap, she's going to kill me."
I liked how they didn't look at him while they were saying that either.
And then he was like, "Wait, so I can go now?" I was just saying, just get out of there before she changes her mind. And Mando's just like, "Go, just get out of there."
That was his.
It's like trying to get rid of like your the animal you go. It's like go girl, go.
Yeah. And then it goes up to Gideon, and I really wish Gideon had done more in this entire season. Yeah. We get this, which I wasn't expecting that to be the translation.
I wasn't, but when he did it, I was like, yes, Mando, you are using his own bloody words against him.
What I was expecting was Thrawn. I was expecting Thrawn to tie back to the Ahsoka episode.
But again, I think the Thrawn thing was only put in there for her own series.
But from not,
which is kind of annoying.
Wars or anything, or Rebels or anything, because we see it with Vader when Palpatine comes up, don't we? And you suddenly go, oh, he's reporting to someone above his station. He's not the dude in charge. There's someone.
I think you'll see Gideon report to Thrawn in the last episode.
No, I have actually just had an idea. Because obviously my whole theory is that Gideon is part of the whole Sith Eternal thing. What if he does have a superior, but it's not Thrawn, it's Pride. Allegiant General Pride. Richard E. Grant from Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I didn't even know that was his name. I just knew it was Richard E. Grant. Or Aid Edmondson, why not?
No, still think it's weird. But yeah, like maybe that's like the whole Darksaber moment of the next episode is like after whatever happened and Gideon's probably still alive. He like turns around. There's a hologram, and it's just Richard E. Grant's face. And he's like, basically like, how is the project coming or something?
We're moving the operation to Exegol.
Like that, yeah.
I'm not saying I disliked it, but what I was expecting was that Vader Palpatine moment where you just go, "Oh, he's reporting to someone."
I reckon that is definitely going to happen, but I reckon it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be like the whole Gideon has the Darksaber end of season 1 thing. Is Gideon talking to his superior? It's either going to be someone we know, like maybe Pride, Sloane, Thrawn, or someone totally new, and you're like, who's this?
If it's Sloane, I will freak.
With one episode to go of the season, I'm feeling pretty confident in saying I feel like Moff Gideon has been completely wasted.
I agree.
But again, it could be like a setting up for him going to be doing more stuff later on. Because again, like you said, it's a long form thing. You need to have patience.
They set him up at the end of season 1 as doing something at the Darksaber. I feel like Gideon throughout this whole season has been completely wasted. And I really, really genuinely feel that way because I love him. I love the actor. I love everything he does. You were talking about this only, Robin. You've gone back to watch Breaking Bad now, haven't you?
No, but
Watching it.
everything I see about him really makes me want to do it.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's a great actor.
So I might do it. I mean, I did it with Battlestar Galactica. I'm going to review that. I'm very bad because of Gus Fring.
I just really, I know I said this by like episode 2 or 3 when I was like, "Where's Gideon?" He was set up at the end of season 1 to be doing this awesome thing, but now with 1 episode to go, I wish he did more. I wish we had more Gideon because he seems like a really good
we're
guy.
definitely going to get a fight with him and Mando.
In a 22-episode series, it's fine. In an 8-episode series, it's not. Because in 22 episodes, you can spread it out a lot more. In 8, you have not got that much time.
And you look at the kind of chain of command that what Robin's just said about Richard E. Grant turning up, for example, as a hologram. We've had season 1, and at the end of season 1, the guy who puts the bounty on Grogu, he's reporting to somebody else. Gideon rocks up with a load of Death Troopers and Stormtroopers with a Darksaber, and everyone at the end of season 1 was going, "It's got a Darksaber, oh my god!" And now, if they've gone season 2, and at the end of that, Gideon passes the torch on to somebody else, I'm going to be like, what a wasted villain.
Well, maybe not pass the torch on, but like he's just like reporting to superior officer, just like to give him an update of what's going on. But he's still going to continue to.
If it's Qui-Gon's, there's always a bigger fish. But each season, we're going to introduce a more senior officer who is a threat. And he's Grogu. I'm not gonna. It's going to feel like boss levels in a computer game.
To be fair, I don't think they're going to do like every season like introduces a new one. I reckon they're just going to introduce like probably one, and this is why it would make sense for it to be Pride, because if people remember him from Rise of Skywalker, like he's working with the Emperor. It's like to have Pride come in and just like offer, like just like say what's going on with the Palpatine project or whatever.
I agree with Matt. I think I'd rather that be the end of season 3.
I'd like more Gideon. There's a really interesting story to be told with him as to where did he get the Darksaber?
Yep.
How has he made this rank? What does he actually have at his disposal? I got the whole what they need Grogu's blood for thing because I'm a fan.
We all knew that from episode 2 as soon as we saw Pershing.
But you know, like let's explore. And this could be a season 3 thing. Yes, it's a long play, whatever. But could there be a kimono connection between Gideon and Pershing? And so you get all of this.
He
has the cloners patch, so there definitely is.
I actually think we might at the end of season 2 see, so end of next week's episode, see Grogu strapped up, blood being taken, and Mando failing to get there on time.
I genuinely do think he's going to fail to get Grogu.
And I've said this a couple.
Or we could actually see a Kaminoan just like working on Grogu.
I've said this
with Pershing
a small while ago, in the earlier episodes, when I was just like, can we stop introducing characters and focus on what we've got? And again, now we've gone through a season, they're name dropping left, right, and center, and they are his new people. And I'm just like, no, you've set up this great story. Mando's going after Gideon, but we know what Mando's doing. He's the main character, he's the protagonist. The series is named after him. But what's his villain doing? Because you know what Jafar is doing in Aladdin. Yeah. Because you get scenes of Jafar talking to Diego.
Going back to pantomime villains.
Yeah, right. But it's like, this is why I want the lamp, and this is why I want to do this. And you get motives for villains. And right now, again, the only motive for Gideon has been assumed knowledge. And so, sure, it's the Mandalorian. There's lots of Mandalorian in his side quest. But now we've got this great villain that isn't really getting any entire... He doesn't have an arc. He doesn't really... He is, I'm going to get the baby, then I'm going to take the baby to this place. That I'm a big villain with dark troopers, and I've got brigades of stormtroopers and death troopers, and look at my TIE fighter, the wings fold, and I've got a Darksaber. He's like, he's got loads of cool stuff, but he's gonna be doing something cool. And I'd like
hold on. He has a lot of cool stuff, looks pretty cool, hasn't done much. What does that remind me of?
Me.
Yeah, well, no, Boba does stuff now.
Boba does stuff now.
But exactly, now we had to wait for Boba to do cool stuff.
but Gideon's already done more than Boba did. But this is what I mean, for a long play.
I mean, to be fair, Gideon hasn't really himself done
that. Was cool. And the same noise, genuinely.
To be fair, when I saw him going up with the TIE fighters coming after him, I was like, he's going to drop a seismic, isn't he? And then you saw him, I was like, he's dropping a seismic. And then, just the silence. And then it was like, yeah, seismic charge.
Battlefront 2, I played a lot of the fighter squadron stuff, and the noise of that seismic charge is still enough for me to want to pull a barrel roll and get out of there. And when I heard it, I was genuinely like, oh, my A-wing, no. I had flashbacks. No, it was cool. It was a good callback, and I like that he's still got the tech. But yeah, Mando's message at the end, which was just like, basically, I love him, and there's nothing you can do to stop me from getting him back. Nothing will stand in my way.
Well, no, it wasn't that. It was the fact that he used word for word
what
Gideon said to him at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
And you can see the look on Gideon's face is like, I recognize these words. What are you doing?
I just. Do you know what? Until you just said it, and I genuinely did not even connect. That's what Gideon said in season 1.
The recap started with that. Did you skip the recap?
Yeah, I skipped the recap because I feel like the recap gives me a massive indication of what's going to happen in the episode, and I don't like it. I'll watch the recap and be like, this person's coming back, or this is going to happen.
Yeah, I always skip it. I agree. It actually gives you too much of an indication of what to expect.
I don't, but that's only because it messes with my Disney Plus when I try and watch it.
Yeah, but I feel like, again, like, the recap's fine. I didn't even connect, and that's what Gideon said at the end of season 1.
Yeah, it's literally word for word. Mando's using his own words about Grogu back on him.
That's a shame. That's completely ruined that moment for me. Genuinely ruined that moment, because I thought this massive character progression was Mando going, you are not going to separate me from this kid.
Look, yeah, but he's using his own words against him. That makes it better.
No, but for me, I thought didn't connect that Gideon said it because I'd completely forgotten. And I felt like that was Mando's own words. And I was like, oh my God, he loves him. But it's now taken away the emotional punch of that moment for me. It's actually just completely, I'm like, oh. Because originally I came out of it being like, oh my God, he's finally accepted that he's going to keep this kid. He's going to stop trying to give him away. So season 3 is going to be him on the run. How awesome is that going to be? And now I didn't realize.
We'll like
yeah, because we're getting Gauntless on the Gazanti Phill Matt next week.
Me and the boys going to rescue Grogu.
Gazanti Phill Matt. I'm not going to give up on this. Gazanti Phill Matt.
So the end of that episode, I personally felt held a lot of emotional weight, but now I know he was paraphrasing. It feels
quote. It was a full-on.
It was word for word. That's
now
what
I know he was
makes it better.
Quoting him. It just feels more like he was taunting him. Jenny, there's nothing you can say to make that better. My personal feeling was that was a massive emotional moment for me. And now knowing that he quoted Gideon back at him has removed any emotional connotation.
Right. That's fair enough, but that's what makes it even better for me. He's like, yes, he's like, right, okay, no, this is my kid. I'm getting it back. Gideon, you said this when you were trying to take him from me the first time. Screw you. I'm getting my kid back.
Yeah. Man.
Right. I think that's how we wrap this up, because there's not a huge amount left to say on this this episode. In terms of next week's episode, they've got a lot to make up in not a lot of time. I hope it's a longer episode. I hope it's a 40 to 50 minute.
It probably will be, but it'll probably end on a massive cliffhanger. This season is going to be Empire Strikes Back. In that it doesn't really have an ending, and you have to wait until the next episode to find out.
Mando gets his hand chopped off?
Maybe.
It's a very short.
Maybe when he's fighting Gideon, he gets his hand chopped off. Who knows?
It's a very short.
Someone's going to be in Carbonite.
It's a very short space of time to bring back this massive cast of characters they've all introduced. Because you're going to have to show a reintroduction of Bo-Katan if she's going to be in the finale. You're going to have to show if Ahsoka's there. You're going to have to reintroduce her.
Might not be.
Do you know what? Season 2, the pacing feels off, I think. The Ahsoka episode, as great as it was for everyone, that wasn't a big deal for me. Feels like it went out of the way and we lost an episode. When I said it felt like an episode of Clone Wars, it almost feels like we've lost an episode because everything that happened with Grogu could have been tacked on to any of the other episodes. And it felt like they've taken the time to go, you want it, we got it. And now they're trying to catch up with story.
They're painful.
It feels like they've lost an. That's, I think, what's bugging me. The pacing is off. The ordering seems off, like you said, Phil. And it really feels like they are trying to play catch up after the Ahsoka episode.
But I think it's because like they've got like a plan of at least 3 seasons, and they're spreading out over that, and that's why this season, has kind of felt like that because it's like a middle act of a 3 like act/season thing. So that's why I'm starting to think that next episode is just going to just kind of end like Empire did. We're just like we're in a bad situation. It's like I reckon Gideon is going to bugger off with Grogu. I don't think he's getting Grogu back at the end of the next episode. Which we didn't even touch on the fact that this is the first episode of Mando that hasn't actually had Grogu in it.
Actually, I think that's a good point.
And you don't actually miss him in this episode.
Until I saw the cruiser in that episode. When the camera panned out and I saw the cruiser, I was like, oh yeah, Grogu's not been in this episode at all.
It wasn't until I finished the episode, like, oh yeah, Grogu wasn't in that.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Like, I reckon the season is just going to end with like
basically
the
like
heroes is not really...
When people wondered for a year, who did Negan kill?
Yeah, it's just like it's going to end with like the heroes, basically with like the Remnant winning. Kind of, see, they bugger off with Grogu. Mando's left, not knowing what's going on, maybe even very injured.
Yeah,
and it's going to have a bit of a downbeat ending, and it's going to lead into season 3.
To go right, I need your help.
It's like great. Now I'm going to have to free Mandalore before I can get my kid back.
Swear, if Bo just randomly turns up to the same conclusion as Mando, I'm not going to enjoy that. If it's what a coincidence, you're here too.
I tracked down my Darksaber, but looks like we're going after the same guy.
What a coincidence!
But it to be fair, that probably could happen because Mando doesn't even know about the Darksaber. He's never seen the damn thing.
No,
that's true. But
the only people who have seen it are Grogu, really.
But what I'm saying
and
is,
maybe
if
a couple of
Bo
Jawas
turns up at the same time as Mando, it's going to be what a convenient little loop.
Or it's because Mando has sent out a beacon to her, and she arrives in a Gazanti full of Mandos.
Enough. That may happen. That may not happen, but we'll see.
Gazanti full of Mandos, damn it! I just want to see it.
Bo could be best friends with the Armorer, and Jon Favreau.
I mean, I reckon the Armorer is dead, because I reckon the Remnant took her, and the when Pershing a couple of episodes was talking about the Volunteer, I reckon that's the Armorer.
She was too badass. Anyway, we can discuss all this next time.
Once we know what's going on.
Yes, and we've got a very busy week ahead of us in terms of stuff we need to discuss anyway, including everything that was unveiled on Thursday, plus our little final holiday special on Tuesday and next week's Mando. There's a lot to go.
What sleep?
For the week.
Yeah. Exactly. But I'm really looking forward to next week and looking forward to chatting the finale. Good, bad, or indifferent. We'll find out next week.
The good, the bad, and the Mando.
Yeah, good, the bad, and the Mando. But keep your eyes peeled on social media. We'll be hyping up our various shows. So between the three of us, we'll discuss when exactly we're going to be doing our review of everything that came out on Thursday. Tuesday, we've got our special Christmas quiz, which will be Robin, Matt, and myself with Dave and hopefully George as well. Should be good fun for that. So everyone prepare for Matt to fail epically and everyone else to kind of do okay. But we'll see. I'll put some curveballs in there for you, Matt. We'll find us some soft ones for you.
There's going to be a couple of Bobber questions in there, don't worry.
I could get them wrong as well, man.
No, we'll all just get in there before you do.
Yeah,
probably.
We shall see. But no, Tuesday's episode with Dave and George and you two as well should be absolutely fun. We'll get
old versus new.
All of us, yeah. Once the Force and Star Wars together should be fun. We'll get Mando, of course, and we'll talk about everything here on Thursday, including Hayden Christensen back as Vader, which I still haven't processed because I can't wait. But until next time, women Star Wars, may the Force be with you. Good night.
I have been waiting. Will you join me?